Welcome. This presentation is based on the recently developed Newcastle Rail Corridor Planning Policy. Using words and music, we will explain the science behind the cause of climate change with specific focus on coal-fired power generation. We will then discuss how Newcastle can transition to renewable energy sources for the generation of electricity. It is apparent that the Newcastle region will once again face significant social and economic challenges as a result of the diminishing role that coal will play in the generation of electricity. This presentation outlines the pathways for this transition in ensuring that the transition is just, fair and equitable. It's called Let's Coalesce for a Sustainable Future, the coming together of the community for a sustainable future. Or as the Beatles say, come together. Coal in Newcastle is big business. In 2016, the New South Wales government stated that Australia is the world's largest exporter of coal, and Newcastle is one of the world's largest coal export ports. The coal industry in New South Wales directly employs nearly 20,000 people and supports a further 80,000 in mine and non-mine related activities. In 2015-16, the New South Wales coal industry produced 246.8 million tonnes of coal, worth nearly $15 billion. In New South Wales, about 80% of the electricity we use comes from the burning of coal. So Newcastle is very much a coal town.
Born and raised in a mining town, most folks thought when up was done, we all lived and gave our soul, did it all, smoking coal.
This image is ubiquitous with climate change. But what is climate change? And more importantly, how is it caused? Climate is the average meteorological conditions that occur over a period of time at a particular location, whilst weather is the meteorological conditions at a particular point in time. So climate change is the changes in averages of temperatures and rainfall, etc., whilst weather is always with you.
Everywhere you go, always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go, always take the weather. Everywhere you go, always take the weather with you.
Carbon is imperative to life on Earth. All things are made of carbon. The carbon cycle is an ongoing process whereby carbon is exchanged between the various natural systems such as the biosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere. For example, carbon in its various forms is stored in the atmosphere, plants and oceans. Animals consume plants and produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct. The burning of coal also produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Carbon is part of the circle of life.
Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. As king, you need to understand that balance and respect all the creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope.
Dad, don't we eat the antelope?
Yes, Simba, but let me explain. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so, we are all connected in the great circle of life.
Most importantly, carbon in the form of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere provides a blanket effect that allows the Earth's temperature to remain relatively stable. This is known as the greenhouse effect. Without this effect, it would be very difficult to sustain life on Earth. But something is happening regarding the amount of carbon dioxide or CO2 in the atmosphere. The following is a graph of two parts. The green dots represents data taken from ice cores from Antarctica by CSIRO. When an ice sheet is formed, gas is trapped in bubbles in the ice. Scientists at Edithvale and Victoria examine these cores to determine historic CO2 concentrations. The purple part of the graph is the CO2 concentrations in the air taken at Cape Grim in Tasmania. You'll notice a bit of an acceleration in around 1750 and further acceleration around 1950. In fact, the 1950 period is called the Great Acceleration period.
Yo, VIP, let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Alright, stop, collaborate and listen. Ice it back.
The United Nations can take action on issues confronting humanity. In 1988, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, was formed because of concerns on climate change. These guys review all the scientific papers on climate science. They do not do the science. They review, then develop scenarios about what the science says.
I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling the puzzles apart. Questions of science, science and progress, do not speak as loud as my heart.
The Industrial Revolution and the end of World War II saw great advances in technology. Coal and oil respectively drove these periods of modernisation. The burning of both coal and oil creates carbon dioxide, hence the reason for these great acceleration periods. One other great advance was a large-scale generation and distribution of electricity. However, the majority of electricity generated in Australia is via the burning of coal. This process contributes 1/3 of Australia's greenhouse gases and is growing. Globally, the EPA in the US has stated that electricity generation is the largest single source of global greenhouse gas emissions. This is where it gets interesting. We obviously have a rapid acceleration of the amount of carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere, which basically means the blanket is getting thicker. So what? Well, 97% of climatologists state that human activities are the reason behind this great acceleration. So what? Well, it means we are the cause of climate change.
I wanna start a fight. So what? I'm still a rock star. I got my rock moves, and I don't need you. And guess what? I'm having more fun.
Ceasing the use of coal and turning on renewable energy sources is not just the answer. Planning is required to map out the multiple adaptive management pathways, with the goal of producing a balanced approach that provides for a just, fair, equitable and planned transition. This is what is outlined in the Newcastle Rail Corridor Planning Policy. Firstly, we need to plan to ensure a secure and affordable supply of electricity. This will be achieved initially by the Council establishing a centralised bulk electricity procurement process. Discounted electricity can then be purchased by the residents and businesses. Margins made from this process will be used to assist in establishing frameworks to retrain workers, attract new businesses and reduce the vulnerability of lower socio-economic groups. Secondly, we need to commence conservation mining. In other words, in our modern society, we tend to use far more energy than we need. So we need to educate ourselves about electricity, specifically focusing on being energy efficient. A few examples are ensuring all new buildings are built to certain standards, providing education to the community on efficient usage. I'm sure you can add to this list.
Teach your children well. Their fathers have did slowly go by.
Thirdly, we need to transition to clean, renewable sources of energy for the generation of electricity. This will include improvements in technology for the generation, storage and distribution of electricity, the decommissioning of coal-fired power stations, attracting new businesses and retraining employers.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, it doesn't feel good.
Lastly, we need to establish targets that are SMART, that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. For example, STEP targets will be set over a 30-year timeframe to complete this transition to renewable energy. These STEP targets form the steps of the pathways towards a just, fair, equitable and sustainable future. Thank you for listening.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters